We are really excited to have with us today Darbi Berry, and we just promoted her within the Institute to direct our Environment Hub and are so excited for all the work that she does with us. She's worked with us for the last couple years, and she is an alumni as well of the University of San Diego, and she came through our Environment and Ocean Sciences program and worked with Christiana de Benedict, who started up the Environment Hub at the Institute. So with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Darbi, and share more about you and the Environment Hub.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Emily. And hi, everyone. It's good to see you all. I recognize a few faces, so really happy to be here. And I'm going to share my screen just because I really want to present some of these topics. So hopefully you can see my screen here. I see some nods, so I'm going to keep going. So hi, everyone. Again, Darbi Berry, she, her. I'm the Director of Climate and Environmental Programs here at the Nonprofit Institute and have been leading the Environment Hub. As Emily mentioned, I actually started with NPI back in May of 2019. So I've been here for a while. I've really been privileged to kind of work across some of our programs. And most specifically, I'm going to do a deep dive today on the San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative, but just kind of wanted to start and present a broad overview of the Environment Hub. I know you've heard about Leaders 2020 in the past, so I won't spend too much time there, but the Environment Hub kind of encompasses a broad range of projects and programs, both kind of some legacy programs that have been around the region itself, as well as programs that we've developed here at the Nonprofit Institute to kind of uplift some of these intersections. And just wanted to also call attention to kind of the faces behind the Environment Hub. So beyond myself, I do have an incredible number of staff and graduate assistants who really support across all of our programs. So we work in a very interdisciplinary manner, and not anyone supports just one of these programs. So it's really great that we get to cross-pollinate and kind of share some of those networks and ideas. We have the Climate Collaborative, the Equinox Quality of Life Dashboard, and the Equinox Project, Leaders for Outdoor Equity, which Emily has been leading and doing just an amazing job. I think the fourth one was this morning, actually. So check out that recording. And then Leaders 2020, the Young Professionals Network. So how we work at the Environment Hub is really what I wanted to focus on. You know, we're committed to supporting a high quality of life for all San Diegans. That kind of messaging is within all of the missions of each of these individual programs. And why it's so important at the Nonprofit Institute in particular, you know, the environment is really inextricable from our social kind of constructs and our social systems. And so we have these programs that are really trying to help build these collective and collaborative pathways is really what we're trying to work with, and connecting these critical networks. So both working with programs that really emphasize the nonprofit leadership in the environment space, but also the Climate Collaborative, which I'll focus on later, really focuses on public agencies. And so there's some really great learnings to happen of how we can both be coordinated and connected together. Being at the University of San Diego, you know, Emily mentioned I am an alumni, so it's really exciting to kind of stay here and kind of be part of this community for a longer term. You know, we're committed to advancing and upholding the Care for Our Common Home initiative here at USD, and a lot of our programs are really invested in that and invested in some of the students in that as well. And we kind of work through this science and data informed programs, projects, and action. So really linking what is best practice to best practice people is how we're moving forward. So we work on research, network and collaboration, and most importantly, in my opinion, is building that next generation of leaders. So at the Climate Collaborative itself, so this is the main program and project that I've been working on here at the Nonprofit Institute during my tenure. The San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative has been around since 2011, has had different homes over the years, but since 2018 has found itself at the Nonprofit Institute. Our mission is to connect the region to advance climate change solutions that both focus on mitigating the impacts of climate change, so reducing greenhouse gas emissions, as well as adapting to those climate change impacts that we know are going to happen. So looking at resilient infrastructure as well as resilient communities. So we envision a region that's prosperous and resilient, and we're committed to this high quality of life, like I mentioned before. So just a little bit of background, the history of the Climate Collaborative. I think this network is really built off of trust, and that's a lot of how we thrive. And it's come from the kind of the foundations of the network itself. This was kind of a grassroots effort between, folks at San Diego Gas and Electric, and the San Diego Foundation, Emily and her tenure there, as well as other individuals from some really big key public agencies who just genuinely needed a space to discuss what was happening in climate, how were they actually going to integrate climate action into local planning, and how are they going to leverage and share expertise. This was before even a lot of our cities had kind of climate teams or climate action managers on their team. So I think that kind of founding of the organization through individuals and building that relationship of trust is how we still operate and how we've been able to thrive. And so, like I mentioned, this is really a network for our cities and public agencies that's grounded also with, partners across nonprofits and academia and foundations. So we have a pretty broad advisory board that supports a lot of our programs and missions. We have the airport on our advisory board, the Port of San Diego. I think we have 7 different cities right now, the San Diego Foundation, and some other kind of coalitions of climate leaders like Clean Tech San Diego. So it's really valuable for both me as an individual working in the staff space, but also for the network itself to just have this really broad, diverse group of individuals supporting the work. And so what we do from kind of a program perspective is we really are driving towards this one mission, which is sustaining regional impact. And so we do this by connecting the region to advance climate change solutions. And we have a couple of different pathways that our programs fall in. So first and foremost, we are engaging our members. So as I mentioned, we have that really broad-based kind of membership. We have 27 member organizations, but within those organizations, as well as there's a broad range of organizations that aren't technically members, but we have about 600 individuals across the region who are active and participate in our programs, our working groups, and our different types of meetings and engagement. So 600 individuals who are really working on climate action is pretty incredible to be connected with. We do this through strengthening our climate resilience hub. So we have 4 main program areas that we call our resilience hub that I'll jump into in a minute. We leverage our collective capacity. So we thrive off of having really strong partnerships to move us forward. And as I mentioned, these strategic partnerships, we partner with folks who do the training rather than, us developing, reinventing the wheel. We just kind of really try to leverage and elevate other people's work and leadership in the region. So our 4 program areas within the climate space really kind of focus around a diverse range of impacts. So we focus on energy resilience. So looking at how different energy efficiency measures can be adopted at the city level, as well as what are the challenges to those kinds of different types of things that people are working on. We've been working really heavily in the coastal resilience space for the last 6 years, and actually just received a really awesome $600,000 grant from the California Ocean Protection Council to develop a regional resilience roadmap. So like I said, aligning those collaborative priorities and opportunities to really pilot some pretty innovative projects. We've had a climate smart water program for the last few years, and I'll share that with you too, Emily. We actually developed a climate smart water and equity story map last year, where we did case studies of specific projects where nonprofits partnered with cities to actually get work done in communities of concern. So it's a really cool project that we've been doing. And then finally, adaptation and resilience planning. And so this is where we've taken a pretty deep dive in the last 2 years to focus on that equity component. And we are in final publishing right now of a equity first approach to adaptation for practitioners and planners who are starting to tackle how are they going to make their cities more resilient. And our question is, how are they going to make their cities more equitable and resilient? And so we're trying to reframe some of those approaches within our region. And so I just dropped this in here. Like I mentioned, the Climate Collaborative has been around since 2011. We've had, about a decade to be supporting this network and moving forward. So over the last 10 years, we've leveraged more than $3.5 million. We've held, I think we tallied it up to like 180 workshops over the last 10 years for folks. And then we have more 80%, larger than 80% of our jurisdictions and agencies that have regulatory authority in our region are part of this network. So we have a really broad impact and practitioners that can make change. And so this says 500, but it's actually 600 now, which is pretty incredible. And so I just dropped this slide in here just to give kind of a broad overview of just some of the very specific projects and programs that we've been working on at the Climate Collaborative. I kind of mentioned a few of them when I was talking, but I'm not going to spend too much time here. I just wanted you to have it as a follow-up resource. And so how we're moving forward in this, we really want to continue to have a thriving and fostering a resilient region. And so we're looking at holistically implementing climate resilience across our programs and really making a stronger interconnection between how, our water program supports our coastal program, et cetera. Also, the biggest one too is innovative financing pathways is like a new big thing that we've been tackling is how do we really start to, process and pay for some of this work that needs to get done.
Thank you, Darbi. We really do appreciate all the effort you put into the presentation.
Thank you all so much. And I'll talk to you soon.